The storyteller of the city. In a bustling city, there was a man named Lucas who worked as a late-night radio host. His deep, soothing voice and heartfelt stories provided comfort to countless sleepless listeners. Over the years, his program became an irreplaceable part of the city's nighttime routine. When Lucas first started, he was mentored by an experienced radio host, Mr. Sullivan. The old man gave him one simple piece of advice: do your job well, let your voice be a companion to your listeners. Don't chase fame, just focus on doing your best. Lucas followed this advice. He worked diligently, never missing a single night of broadcasting. He didn't seek recognition or compete for promotions. He simply focused on telling meaningful stories. Over time, his show became a quiet yet essential presence in the city's nightlife. One day, Lucas noticed something troubling. Younger, less experienced radio hosts were being promoted, getting primetime slots and receiving more recognition. Meanwhile, despite his years of dedication, he remained just another late-night voice in the background. Frustrated, he visited Mr. Sullivan and poured out his concerns. "I've done everything you told me. I've dedicated myself to my work, never sought the spotlight, and given my best to my listeners. But others who are less experienced keep moving ahead while I stay in the same place. Why?" The old mentor listened patiently and then said, "Then take a week off." Lucas was taken aback. "A week off? But why?" "Just try it. Don't announce it. Just disappear." Though puzzled, Lucas followed the advice. For the first time in years, he was absent from his show. The realization. Within 2 days, the radio station was flooded with messages and calls. "Where's Lucas? His voice helps me sleep every night." "Why is no one talking about this? We miss him." On social media, listeners began sharing their favorite memories of his show. They had taken his presence for granted until he was gone. A week later, when Lucas returned to the air, messages poured in. "You're back! Don't leave again!" "We never realized how much we needed you." That night, the station director called him in for a meeting. Impressed by the audience's overwhelming response, the director not only raised his salary, but also offered him a primetime slot. At that moment, Lucas understood. Sometimes people don't appreciate what's always there. Only absence makes them realize its true value. The second lesson. Seeing how effective this tactic was, Lucas started using it whenever he felt undervalued. Each time he disappeared, appreciation for him grew stronger, and his career flourished. But then, one day, something unexpected happened. After taking another short break, Lucas returned, only to find that a new host had taken over his spot. The station had moved on, and listeners, though they missed him at first, had started adjusting to the new voice. Shocked, he rushed back to Mr. Sullivan. "I did everything you said. Why did I lose my job this time?" The old mentor smiled gently and said, "Because you only learned half of the lesson." Lucas frowned. "Half the lesson?" Mr. Sullivan nodded and pointed to a flickering street lamp outside. A light that is always on goes unnoticed. People only realize its importance when it goes out. But if a light flickers too often, people will stop relying on it and eventually replace it with one that's more dependable. Lucas was speechless. You thought disappearing would make you indispensable, but you forgot that if you disappear too often, people will learn to live without you. The old man continued, "Success doesn't come from making people miss you when you're gone. True success comes from leaving a mark so deep that even if you're replaced, no one can truly take your place." From that day on, Lucas changed his approach. He no longer used absence as a strategy. Instead, he focused on making his show truly irreplaceable, by connecting with his audience in a way no one else could. And in the end, he didn't just become a voice on the radio, he became a legend.